Well, as you can see behind me, the ceremony has come to an end now. It was a very low-key ceremony for the 4 victims killed at the grocery store right behind me in eastern Paris. Low-key because a few candles were lit. The chief rabbi of Paris read a psalm. There was a minute of silence, and the French hymn, La Marseillaise, rang out in the streets at the Porte de Vincennes. We saw dozens of people who braved the cold and the rain to come here to pay tribute to those 4 victims. And at the end of the ceremony, there was 1,000 balloons that were released into the sky, not only for those 4 victims, but also for the victims of all terrorist attacks since 2012. We also saw a few politicians here, MPs, but also the French Prime Minister Edouard Philippe and Anne Hidalgo, the Paris mayor, but also the former French President François Hollande, who had a meeting with the victims' families.
And Aurore, as I just mentioned, another Jewish grocery store was attacked last night, and this is the latest in a string of anti-Semitic incidents in France in recent years. What are members of the Jewish community telling you tonight? Do they feel safe in France?
Well, we've talked to one of the victims' best friends who came to tonight's ceremony. He told us that he actually didn't feel in his everyday life, he didn't feel like people were becoming more and more anti-Semitic towards him, but he did feel like on social networks, for example, on the internet, when an article was published by a French newspaper, for example, about that grocery store that was burnt down last night, well, he said a lot of commentaries that he read were actually really shocking. And it's really on the internet that he sees how people do feel strongly against Jews, he says. Those are his words, and he said that that's how he sees that on social media. Really, it is becoming worse and worse for him. But there's dozens of people are still here, and you know, there is a strong figure that we should remember, really, is that in 2015, when that attack right behind me occurred, that was triggered by Hamidi Coulibaly, the gunman who stormed into that supermarket, who took hostage those customers and who killed those 4 people. Well, in 2015, a lot of French Jews, in fact, nearly 8,000 Jews left France. They left the country to go to Israel, where they say that they actually feel safer there than here in France.
All right.